107.7 The Bronc, WRRC FM Lawrenceville. 107.7 The Bronc is providing Rider Ice Hockey with home ice advantage this fall and winter. Facing off with the biggest hits and the best variety, live from the Killarney's Public House Studios, now.
107.7 The Bronc, 107.7thebronc.com, live from the Killarney's Public House Studios. We're listening to The Dugout with Steve Sika and Chris Brooks. And tonight, another exciting show for another exciting week.
Oh, yes, it will be. We got baseball playoffs coming up. The Giants won a game. The Mets are doing pretty well. I mean, we're pretty happy. I mean, as happy as we can be, I guess, at this point. But you want to start off with some baseball playoff talk?
Sure, as I choked to death on a Skittle. Before
you can't let me do this all by myself.
You're on your own. You're on your own. I'm going to just lay here and slowly perish. Death by sour Skittle.
All right, so I mean, I'm looking at the MLB playoff picture right now, and if the season ended today, the National League one-game playoff would be against the Pittsburgh Pirates and the San Francisco Giants.
Probably what's going to wind up happening. I mean, unless the Pirates have a really good run at the Cardinals, and the Cardinals there's a few games here and there, and the Pirates could wind up being the Central champions, and you get the Cardinals and against the Giants. But the Dodgers, with a win tonight, would clinch the NL West, and they have Kershaw on the mound, so...
That seems like, pretty much a given at this point. And the winner of that game would play the Washington Nationals, which is not a very easy task for anybody.
No. The winner of that wins the Nationals, so... But is there anything they can definitely hold their own against the Nationals? And they've proven this. St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but everything changes when you get into the playoffs. But, I think we've done this show for a little while now, and I think I've said a lot of times that when it comes to playoff times, though, the Cardinals just know how to win.
Yep.
And, even if they aren't the best team on the field, they somehow, always eke out wins. Good pitching performances, offense when they need it, and, they're always a team that I wouldn't want to face in the MLB playoffs for sure.
A dangerous team because of all the experience that they have and the fact that they're so confident that they can do it year after year after year.
Yeah, and same thing against the Dodgers, too, is that I just feel like Game 1, you go in against Clayton Kershaw, and you're going to lose. I mean, obviously, it's not a given that Kershaw is going to 100% win.
Never a given, but
this guy this year, he's the best pitcher in the major leagues, like no doubt in my mind. And I think he might even be the NL MVP this year. I mean, it could be.
Cy Young MVP.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not the MVP, I think he's going to finish second. Because I'm guessing the people that would fight him for it might be Stanton and McCutchen again, and Stanton's not playing anymore, so I don't know. I think it could be Kershaw. But I guess we'll see how the votes go on that one. But
it's tough to say.
We move over to the American League side of it. The one-game wild card playoff would be the Kansas City Royals against the A's, which would be quite interesting, mainly because the Royals would be in the playoffs. And that's what we want to see.
Exactly. That would be their first time since 1985.
Have they clinched yet?
The Royals?
Yes.
Not quite. The Mariners, I believe, still have an outside chance, which is keeping them mathematically alive. Here's the thing. Right now, if the season ended today, not only would the Royals be in the playoffs, but they would host that wild card game if the season were to end at this very moment. The Cleveland Indians are not out of it yet. Their tragic number is 1. So all the Indians have to do is lose one game, and the Royals has got to win a game, or the A's got to win a game, and they'll be set. So the Indians pretty much are out. The Mariners, 2.5 out with about 4 games left to play. They still have yet to play tonight. That could be tricky. I mean, imagine the Mariners overtake the A's for that final wild card spot, and the A's are going home. But at this rate, a 2.5 game lead with 4 to go looks pretty comfortable for the Oakland A's. So, by and by, it looks like we have our whole playoff picture already set.
Yeah, for the most part, it does seem that way, and I like seeing some of these new teams in the playoffs.
That's nice.
It's very exciting. I'm happy to see the Pirates are back. They had a great season last year, even though they didn't get quite as far as I'm sure that they hoped. Glad to see them back. especially happy to see the Royals probably, unless something terrible happens,
Yeah.
that they're going to make it. And that's going to be the first time they're in the playoffs since,
85.
85.
85.
Dang.
There was a whole generation, and then some, that have never seen the Royals in the playoffs.
Yeah, so that's got to be really exciting. Really, really exciting as a Royals fan. I mean, it's taken so long. They've had so many good high draft picks.
They have,
and a
and
lot
there's
of
so
them
much promise.
haven't necessarily panned out. And they could have had Clayton Kershaw. But
Luke Hochstetler.
yeah. I mean, it never works out quite the way you plan. But here they are. They're a good team, and hopefully they can get past the wild card, the one game. I mean, that's so exciting. That's why I love the 2 game or the 2 wild cards, just because it's one fight to the death to see who goes on to the next round, and I think that just makes baseball much more exciting. And
Absolutely.
Another team, another playoff. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
But speaking of playoffs, a team that will definitely not be in it this year are the New York Yankees, who today were eliminated by the Orioles.
9-5, I watched that game, and Jeter was on deck. Fans were hoping to see him one more time. And Garner struck out looking on a questionable call. But
well, that's the end. I mean, I don't think we really planned for them to make a run or anything at the playoffs here, but it is statistically, mathematically over for the Yankees. They have a couple more games, and we'll see Jeter off the grand, celebration, I'm sure, and we'll see how that goes.
So tomorrow will be the last game. Refrigerating Stadium is now official, with no hope of a playoff chances. Will be as the final game if the weather cooperates.
Oh yes, it's not looking too good, but we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, tomorrow will be a soggy day, but I got a feeling Major League Baseball and the Yankees are going to do everything in their power.
The show must go on.
To make sure that Derek Jeter gets his final say. I mean, it's been quite the year for Jeter. And do you think maybe it's been too much? The commercials, the farewell tour.
I mean, I don't want to sound like a Jeter hater at all.
I know. Neither do I, but
I really do respect the guy, even as a Mets fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we only play the Yankees a couple times a year, so, I can't say I hate them or anything like that. But, Jeter's a great player, and we knew it was his last season. We knew it was going to be a big deal, and we were going to see a lot of stuff. And, it is getting a little old, but, it's over now. This is just the end of it, so I guess we will just deal with it, see him off for his last game, and, we won't have to hear about it anymore. And honestly, that's okay with me.
That's fine by me, in my opinion. I mean, it's just ridiculous at this
No
point.
disrespect, of course.
There's no disrespect at all, but I mean, honestly, I don't care if you're the best player ever to grace the game. The amount of coverage he's gotten this past season has just been ridiculous. I mean, Olbermann had a big rant about him. I know Chris Carlin and SNY had a big rant about him. We're not the only ones who feel like he's gotten too much attention. I mean, I like the guy. He's a good player and all.
But
happy to see he's retired. Happy to see he has a very storied career. But no one's above the game. And that's just the way I feel about that.
This definitely isn't going to be the last time we see Derek Jeter. We know he's not going to be on the field playing anymore, but the chances of him taking some sort of position somehow affiliated with the Yankees is probably going to happen sooner or later. Maybe he takes some time off, spend some time with the family and everything like that, but I feel like eventually this guy's going to get bored with his retirement.
Yep.
And he's going to find something baseball related to do. I'm not necessarily sure if he's a manager kind of guy, if he's ever been interested in that kind of thing, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of teams would be open to trying.
He's mentioned a front office kind of a job, he was saying. I mean, maybe he'll turn into another Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan couldn't get away from the game, and now he's the owner of the Bobcats, or now the Hornets, excuse me.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with him. Best of luck to Derek Jeter, and I hope that final game, gets played.
I hope so, too. I mean, I'll probably giggle a little bit if it gets rained out after all this fanfare leading up to this game. You have the $500 tickets, you have all this stuff. But, the Yankee hater and the Mets fan in me doesn't want to see it happen, but the baseball fan in me wants to see him play his final game.
Because imagine all we're going to hear about if it doesn't get played.
I mean, they're going to play the game like at 1 in the morning. They're going to start that game. They're like, nope, this game is getting played.
We have to play.
They got to play. It's a short trip to Boston. It's not like they're traveling across the country. It's a short trip. for Friday, so nothing about travel day. But the baseball fan in me is definitely rooting for dry weather. The Yankee hater in me is rooting for it to just pour, and I'll just be sitting there giggling without all this fanfare. I mean, did you see how much tickets were for this game?
No, I didn't.
Well, on StubHub and try and find the cheapest
All right, let me
seats
take a
on
look at
Derek
this.
Jeter Eve. We're going to name this.
I mean, obviously it's going to be ridiculous.
It is. I believe it's like $300 tickets. I mean, people are giving away all this, that, and the other. I mean, if you're a Yankee season ticket holder and you don't want to go to this game for whatever reason, you want to sell your ticket on StubHub, more power to you. You probably just bought yourself. Depends on where your seat is. If your seat's right on the field level, you might be have enough to buy yourself. Put a down payment on something, or invest that in a good stock. Let me tell you.
Let's see. So Baltimore Orioles at New York Yankees Thursday.
That is your last game.
The most inexpensive ticket is $200.
Oh wow, it's cheap.
Yeah, but that's the most inexpensive
How many?
ticket.
What's the quantity? 1, 2.
It doesn't say. Hold on. Let me look. Let
Yeah,
me look
because that's what they do. They say, "Ooh, only." I mean, it happens all the time. Not just in this. What StubHub does, you go on the little browser, and you go, "Ooh, it's only $12." I mean, turn out it's a quantity of 1. So the only fan's gonna go to the game. He'll save money, but it'll just be him. Kind of a sad fan, although.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not finding much. Oh yeah, it is quantity 1.
Safe.
Most of them. Yeah, you're right.
No one has 1 ticket.
Yes. But the cheapest tickets for $204 are outfield standing room only.
Wow.
So $200 to stand for
This
nine,
is a
for
regular
9 innings
season
in the
game.
rain.
Yep, 9-inning game. Game means absolutely nothing except that's Jared Jeter's last game. So honestly, he better be playing shortstop.
He will. But pretty crazy ticket prices.
Very steep prices.
But I mean, it is to be expected.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure StubHub, ticket scalpers everywhere, everything like that have been really looking forward to this day.
Rejoice.
Because they can make a heck of a lot of money.
They can make bank. They can make a
selling these
pretty
tickets.
hefty salary.
The most expensive ticket is $15,000. So if you got a few bucks to spare, we can go to the game.
Very excited. Nevertheless, it's expensive. And you have to wonder what the Yankees are going to do for Jeter. I mean, very touching ceremony last year with Mariano Rivera. They brought back Andy Pettitte, Jorge Posada, the core 4. Jeter was there too. Jeter at that time was hurt. He wasn't playing, but he still was there. So they brought out those 3 guys, and they took him off the mound. It wasn't Girardi, but those 3 guys took him off the mound. I don't think anyone's going to take Jeter off a shortstop until the game's over. But you have to wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. And if you're lucky enough to get a ticket, I really think you're going to see something special and something very unique.
But you might get a little wet. Just a little wet.
Might get a little wet.
Sacrifices must be made.
I mean, according to the forecast, it's supposed to be pouring rain in the morning, in the afternoon. Then by 7 p.m., I saw it said just showers and only a 50% chance of rain. So good news if you're heading up to the Bronx tomorrow. And if you're heading to the Bronx tomorrow, you must have a lot of money. So congratulations to that.
Well, instead of talking about just playoff teams and everything, maybe we should talk a little bit about our favorite team. There's a few little things that the Mets announced this week. Extending Sandy Alderson as well as Terry Collins will be sticking around.
Now, I'll give you my thoughts on that. Sandy Alderson, I'm fine with. Sandy Alderson, I mean, a lot of fans have been giving him grief on social media. I've noticed they're just saying it's just a dumb move. He hasn't spent any money. This, that, and the other. Blah blah. But frankly, he doesn't have any money to spend.
Yeah, and even so, without spending any money, look what he's brought this team.
Exactly. I mean,
he's made the moves that no one else has had the guts to make.
Yep, absolutely.
And they've worked.
And all the trades he's made, they really have panned out. If you think about it, he was around 2011. That's when he started his reign. Immediately Beltran
for Wheeler.
And that trade's already paying off dividends. I mean, the Giants kind of got shortchanged in that because the Cardinals profited off of him more. And even the Yankees. Carlos Beltran was not the giant that everyone was hoping he would be. So right there, the Mets made a good trade in giving away an aging star for a young prospect. And now Zach Wheeler, they're pairing him up with Harvey and DeGrom. Then you move on to 2012, where he makes a huge trade and trades a Cy Young Award winner in R.A. Dickey and Josh Tolley and Mike Nickias. Just to throw out some names
because no one else can catch the knuckleball.
So you got to have those two guys. And he brings back Travis d'Arnaud and Noah Syndergaard. And he also brings another guy, if you can look this up, another guy who's somewhere in Kingsport Mets right now, who's actually having a pretty good year. I believe he's really young, and I believe he's from Latin America. And that's all I remember about him. He's got apparently a lot of potential. I think he's an infielder.
Here, I got it up right now. I won't give you 1 second.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I can't think of him, to be honest, myself either.
Because the big names were Syndergaard and d'Arnaud. Mm-hmm. So we all know them.
And,
But
we
there's
haven't seen
one-
Syndergaard yet.
No. And that's a big question mark. But right now, Travis d'Arnaud is doing all right over there. I mean, the only thing over Travis d'Arnaud is that he can't throw. Every time I throw his second base, it winds up in center field.
Oh, here we go. We also did receive John Buck in that trade, don't forget.
Who is another key to the next trade.
And then his name is Wilmer Becerra. I don't know how to... I'm not quite sure how to say it, but that is his name. He's an outfielder.
Okay. What were his stats this year? Where did he play?
Oh, I didn't get that far yet.
Remember the name. There's Syndergaard, there's d'Arnaud, there's Becerra.
Let's see, 2014 Kingsport Mets. Where's his batting? He played in 58 games, 207 at bats. He hit 300 with 7 home runs, 29 RBIs, and 7 stolen bases. So
there you go. There's a fun fact for all you out there. Nevertheless. So yeah, the trade brings in John Buck. And John Buck turned out to be a nice story for the 2013 Mets. Didn't do half bad. And then he signs Marlon Byrd. A lot of people made fun of the deal. Marlon Byrd cost the Mets $850,000 to bring him in. Less than $1 million for a year. He played with better than Curtis Granderson, who's costing them $15 million per year to play him. So, it was a bad move Sandy Alderson made there. Nevertheless, they trade Buck and Byrd away for who but Dilson Herrera and Vic Black. Vic Black, one of the better Met relievers. Dilson Herrera, the future seems sky high with this 20-year-old kid. He can play defense. He got a little bit of pop. He can hit for contact. He can be a great leadoff hitter, or maybe a good number 2 guy behind a guy like Lagares or a guy like Eric Young Jr. So you're looking at all those trades, and all things considered, Alderson has held this together and has traded away most of the aging prospects, or the aging veteran, I just say, and he traded away like Davis too.
Which was honestly maybe
nobody thought
the
would
best
touch him.
Move. That might have honestly been the best move that he's made so far, just because it gave, I think, Lucas Duda that confidence. Hey, I'm the guy.
Yep.
I'm the guy now, so I got to step up. And, they traded away Ike to give me a chance.
Yep.
And,
and he has.
He did in the second half mostly.
Yep.
And I feel like he cooled down a little bit towards the end, but,
hey.
he showed signs of promise, and we hope he can continue that. And then even to continue, it just seems like there's only more moves that Alderson's going to make. I don't see any big free agent signings or anything coming this offseason, but with the excess amount of pitching that the Mets have, they have more than enough guys to fill out the rotation for next season, as long as everyone stays healthy, and especially with Matt Harvey coming back. So, I feel like there's going to be a trade this offseason, and I think with the guys the Mets have in the farm system, they could bring back some very
bring
big
a good name
player
up. And that's all the Mets really lack right now. You have to feel like is some veteran leadership on that team. Next year, you got to be thinking David Wright. Is he going to come back? Is he going to have the same year he always has? This year was rough for David because, the cortisone shot in the shoulder, the neck problems, this, that, and the other. A lot of Mets fans were ripping on him. But keep in mind, this is a guy who had 300 almost every single year of his career. He's a good player. A lot of teams out there right now would love to have David Wright at third base. The New York Yankees would love to have David Wright playing third base right now. A lot of teams would love to have David Wright playing third base for their team. It's an all-star. A lot of Mets fans getting on him. You got to hope the next year he comes back and the power numbers are gone. He's at Citi Field now. There's no more Beltran. There's no more Delgado to protect him in the lineup. So get over it. He's not a huge power threat anymore. But he can still hit for contact. He still has some pop in his bat. And he's still good for about 70, 80, maybe 90 RBI if enough guy get on base. And he's a veteran presence. He's a captain. He's a good leader. And frankly, he's one of, I think, maybe 3 or 4 guys on that team who has some kind of playoff experience. So David Wright's definitely the guy to go. The real question mark on this team offensively has got to be Curtis Granderson.
Yeah, he's a mystery. I really don't know what to even think of him at this point. I mean, I heard on a broadcast one of the Mets games last week, and Gary, Keith, and Ron were talking about, about is David Wright going to return to form and is Curtis Granderson going to return to form. But in my opinion, this is Curtis Granderson. I don't necessarily think that he has, definitely doesn't have 30 home runs in him anymore because he plays at Citi Field for half the season. So that's part of the problem. He's going to strike out a lot. He's not going to hit for great average. So we just got to hope he finds somewhat of power stroke and can drive in, 80 runs. I think that would make me pretty happy. And, going back to David Wright for a second, I think everyone just remembers, 06, 07, 08, 2010 when he was just an amazing player. He's never going to be a 30 home run and 30 stolen bases.
Not at Citi Field, not with that lineup.
I'd be happy if David Wright hit 0 home runs but had 100 RBIs.
That'd be interesting.
I wouldn't care. He doesn't need to hit the ball over the fence as long as he drives in the runs.
He hits 15, 20 homers, but he has 90 RBIs and an average of 310 and has Gold Glove defense out there and is forward to another All-Star team. That's exactly what we're looking for out of David Wright right now, and that's a good team. David Wright has 90 RBIs, 15, 20 homers, is in 310. The rest of the guys do their job. That's a playoff team right there.
Yeah, if you're looking for 30 home runs, I think the only guy on the Mets who can do that is Duda.
Absolutely.
And that'd be a very good year for him. Very, very good. So,
he had a chance to do that this year if he just gets in a couple on.
Yeah,
he's at 28 right now, so against the Astros, hits a couple into the Pepsi porch. Looking at a 30 home run guy.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that works out. But so we like Alderson. I think we both agree with that. He's done a lot of good things. Maybe he hasn't been the biggest move, but we can talk about Terry Collins a little bit too. Maybe when we come back from break.
Oh, absolutely. We both have different views on Mr. Collins. 1077 The Bronc, 1077thebronc.com, live from the Clarnius Public House Studios. Howdy. Alrighty. So, speaking of Clarnius, I went there on Friday night, talked with Seamus. He bought me a drink because it was my birthday I went in there for over the weekend. And had the chicken wings with the Parmesan garlic coating on them. Delicious. So, get down to Clarnius, say hi to Seamus. Get those Parmesan garlic wings, everybody. It's my free marketing for Seamus for getting me that drink, which is very good.
Yeah, a little payback there.
Oh, Seamus is the man, so stop by Clarnius, go see Seamus. Not like he needs a business. That place is always packed, especially on Friday nights.
Well, let's get back to the end of our Mets talk.
Ah, yes.
Just to talk a little bit about Terry Collins. We weren't sure if he was going to be the Mets manager next season, but it has been announced that he will. So what do you think about that, Steve?
Do you really want me to go? Because I can go for a while. I can go for a very
let's hear it.
long while. Want to get your opinion first, so you can have your say in here?
All right, sure.
Because trust me, I'll go ranting.
I know you really don't like Terry Collins.
I can't.
I'm not.
I
don't like Terry. I don't want to say I like Terry Collins or I'm necessarily happy that he's coming back, but I don't necessarily hate him. It's not him as much as I just want to see a change. I would like to see next season come in, maybe a new manager, and the Mets just click, maybe like the Orioles and Buck Showalter kind of thing. So it's not necessarily that I don't like Terry Collins. I think that he's done a bad job. I think he's bad at managing a bullpen for sure. I think he's pretty horrible at it. But it's been a rough spot for him because he hasn't really been given much to work with. And I think the Mets doing what they've done this year, I mean, I got to give them a passing grade as a manager for right now. They are technically tied for second place.
Technically tied, there you go. In their division, they'd be technically in fourth, probably.
So how many more games are there to play?
Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because tonight's game got rained out, so there is 5 for the Mets.
If the Mets win all 5, we will finish this season, 81-81. So if you ask me, that's a heck of a successful season for the Mets and gives Terry Collins a little thumbs up in my book.
A little thumbs up in your book.
He is coming back. We're going to have to deal with him another year. Both of us kind of like Wally Backman, who has been with the team for these last couple games, and they've won all of them except one.
Against the Nats. That doesn't count when they lose to the Nats, because they always lose to the Nats.
But yeah, like I said, not necessarily happy he's back, not necessarily sad, but either way, it's going to be a good year next year.
I got a great feeling about next year. Here's why I don't like Terry Collins. Number one, he's not a proven winner. You look at his record through the 90s, and even in Japan, the guy has never been in a playoff game in his life. He was never a major league player in his life. And I love how last year he comes out and calls out the Mets fans, who are paying his paycheck, mind you, and calls them out saying, fans don't know what it's like to be in the dugout. Fans don't know what's to be a player. That's very true. And I give him props for saying that, because we as fans, we harp and we groan and moan about a lot of things. And from the call to the fans for that, kudos to you. Here's the thing. Neither do you. You never made it past AAA in your entire playing career. How do you know what's like to be a major league player? You played in Albuquerque. Albuquerque, for God's sake. I mean, come on. I think Lawrenceville has more people living in it. I think the Ryder basketball team has more pressure on them to win games than a AAA team in Albuquerque. So, I mean, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. He would call out the fans like that. Anyways, that too. Also, I went to on the past. I believe in second chances and whatnot. But here's the thing. Terry Collins was voted out by his players, his own players. I mean, there's been a lot of bad managers in baseball, but how many of them can you say, did all the players sign an agreement and say, out? Here you go, out. Bring it to the owner and out. This sounds like something out like a Bad News Bears movie or something. Like, let me see a movie. Like, oh, the evil coach, we're going to vote him out and put the nice guy in, but first we got to vote him out and sabotage this season. Again, that raises some red flags for me. Not only that, but Terry Collins had proven winners on both those teams. He managed the Astros and he managed the Angels. The Astros, once Terry Collins left, wound up winning the division. So once Terry Collins left, the California Angels, or the Anaheim Angels at that time, wound up winning their division and a wild card spot. And then they won the World Series 3 years after Terry Collins left. They actually became a great team in the late 90s once Terry Collins left with the same players. Look it up. Look at the rosters, especially the 2002 Anaheim Angels, who won the World Series. Under who? Mike Scioscia. Who's Mike Scioscia? He's a proven winner. He's won a couple World Series with the Dodgers. He killed the Mets in the 88 LCS, but he's a proven winner. And who's a proven winner in the Mets organization right now? And that's Wally Backman. Wally Backman has not put up with this nonsense. Wally Backman is definitely a seat of his pants kind of manager. Where's he going to put up with it? Does Terry Collins put up with it? Maybe he does. I mean, Mike Francesa went on a big rant about him a couple years ago. If you remember that whole rant on FAN, that got a ton of views on YouTube. That video wound up going viral. But at the same time, these players do play for Terry Collins. They seem to go out there and play just fine. The players aren't the problem anymore. I mean, what are you going to say next year? What is everybody who... I mean, the Terry Collins supporters are very, very few and far between. Last year and the year before that, I was fighting a losing battle on Facebook and Twitter. Now, it's like almost everybody's on my side here. They want him out. And it got so bad in May that he didn't start Juan Lagares. He starts Eric Young Jr., who at that time was slumping. He refused to start Lagares. It became a national Twitter handle, for God's sake. A national Twitter handle. Free Lagares. There weren't even Mets fans tweeting it, but everyone was getting a kick out of it. Everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. How often do you see a national Twitter handle for the Mets in the middle of May, when the Mets were like below 500? So it got that out of hand. And so it's alarming to me, that kind of stuff. The bullpen. Every single time. The Mets games must take longer than Yankee games at this point, because he changed the pitcher every single time. The pitcher goes in there, gets 2 outs. Oh, we're going to take him out because of some lefty-righty nonsense. That's such an antiquated method. He has such... It's hilarious to me, because Sandy Alderson is a very much a Moneyball kind of guy. He believes in the sabermetrics, the stats, the WAR. Terry Collins is total opposite of that. So it's amazing to me how Sandy Alderson likes this guy when Sandy Alderson thinks things through with WAR. I mean, he clearly does. Look at all the players he's brought in. Look at Marlon Byrd. No one gave Marlon Byrd a chance, and he signs him for $850,000. A very Moneyball-esque move. Marlon Byrd has a great year. They trade him. They get 2 great prospects back who turn out to be very, very good. None of the prospects Sandy Alderson got were top 10 prospects in their organization at that time, except for Noah Syndergaard and Travis d'Arnaud. But he had faith in them, and now they're top prospects on the Mets. So, St. Augustine not the problem. I wish St. Augustine a lot of success. I'm very happy he's around for 3 more years. If Terry Collins is around for 3 more years, I cannot see us making the playoffs because Terry Collins just isn't the guy leading the playoffs. Is it Wally Backman? Maybe. He hasn't managed in the big leagues either, so we can't just say, if Wally Backman becomes manager, hoist the NL East flag up for next year. That's just not going to happen. But you have to wonder, is Wally Backman's time on the Mets running out? Did a team like the Texas Rangers, did a team like the Houston Astros, or maybe the Arizona Diamondbacks in the offseason hire him? If they do hire him, I wish him a lot of success because I would love nothing more than Wally Backman to go to another team, turn that whole team around, win, and especially if he's in the National League. Don't get me wrong, I'll still root for the Mets, but a tiny part of me rooting for Wally Backman to beat the Mets, especially if Terry Collins is still their manager, just to show the world, yep, I should have been the guy. And not only that, it's not just Wally Backman, but every Mets minor league team has a winning record. So you have to wonder, what are those managers doing down there? I mean, I understand it's the big league level. You have young players. But at the same time, he's not giving his pitchers confidence. Jacob deGrom, for example, he had 8 innings, and Terry Collins doesn't even stick him out there in the 9th inning. I mean, young pitchers, you have to let them go out there and prove themselves. And Jacob deGrom, a couple weeks ago, perfect example. He was at 98 pitches. I know it has pressure on from the front office. The front office is not on there on the trenches. Terry Collins should just be, you know what? Enough with you. I'm sticking deGrom out there. And you know what? It was a 2-0 game. It was against the Colorado Rockies. If the guy hits a home run into Long Island, it's not going to matter because it's only 2-1. And you know what? They didn't take deGrom out and say, you know what? Get out. You did fine. Then he puts Mejia in there, who... Ajita City over there with Mejia closing games out. He was great closing, don't get me wrong, but he had a bad night that night. So, in hindsight, if deGrom did that, he pretty much did the same exact thing. So he pulls his pitches out too soon, if you ask me. The bullpen is so young, but he's taking them out of games so suddenly. That's not the way to manage a team. You manage that in close games. He's pulling them right and left. Let them finish it. Let them close out their mess. I don't care about lefty, righty. Let the relief pitcher go out there and finish his job, which is to go out there, and you're not playing for anything. No one has any expectation on the 2014 Mets. Let them play. Just let it play out. You know what? If they get burned out there, lesson learned, and they have confidence for next time, and they know what to do, what not to do. They're not getting the experience under Terry Collins, and in my opinion, awful job as a manager, just by managing the bullpen and his inconsistencies in the lineups. He hasn't had a lot to work with. Understood, but you know what? There's a lot of managers out there who could turn that team into a winning team, maybe even this year, if they didn't mismanage their bullpen and put inconsistent lineups up there every single day. The end.
Well, we'll see what happens in 2015 with Terry Collins at the helm. But
it'll be very interesting.
Let's move away from baseball and talk a little bit about the NFL, which is now in full swing, going into week 4. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Giants versus Redskins. Giants at Redskins in Washington. The Giants coming off their first win of the season, which I'm quite happy about.
But wouldn't it?
I think. I mean, the Texans, they were 2-0, not necessarily beating any good teams. What they put a beating on the Raiders in week 2, and I think they beat Tennessee. I forget who in the first week.
Cowboys? Or, who was it, the Redskins?
It was the Redskins. It was Redskins and then Raiders. So
there we go.
Yeah, so they were 2-0 coming into New York, and the Giants were 0-2. I think both of us probably thought we were going 0-3. I thought J.J. Watt was going to destroy the Giants' offensive line. That didn't really happen. The Giants ran the ball better than they have in 2 seasons in that game on Sunday. I can't remember the last time they had a better rushing performance. Rashad Jennings and company, I think it's like 194 yards, just under 200 for the day. And it wasn't even from huge runs of, 20-plus yards. I think Jennings' longest run was 18 yards. So he was just pounding the ball from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, getting, 4, 5, 6, 7 yards a carry. And you know what? It worked. And that opened the door for Eli to have a good game. He didn't blow anybody away and throw for 400 yards, but he threw, a couple touchdowns and had a good game. And a lot of that had to do with the run game getting going, because then the Texans had to worry about that more than they had to worry about the pass, because they were getting burned every play. And it really worked out for the Giants, scored 30 points. And then on the other side of the ball, the defense was also pretty good, got our first turnovers of the season. And, it was overall a good game. It hasn't turned my season around quite yet. Don't call me a believer. But, it was a good first win. Especially from a team who needed it.
Absolutely. If there's anybody that needed a win, it was definitely the Giants. It was a tough year for the Giants last year. They were 0-6, so you had to figure, I was saying, win one of the 6 games. So at least we can say, I don't care if you go 1-5. Anything's better than 0-6. So you get your first W, you get it at home, you have a little momentum, it's a short week, and you're going to play the Redskins. So you have to figure, if the Giants play well against the Redskins, it's a tough game, especially down at FedEx Field. If you win that game somehow, you're 2-2. You're right back in the conversation again.
Exactly, and then you got a game tomorrow night against the Redskins, who, division foe. So NFC East football is always pretty exciting, especially what we saw with the Eagles and the Redskins on Sunday. So I think we can expect some of the same, Giants versus Redskins. And, I think this is a game the Giants can and should win, but definitely not guaranteeing it. The Redskins have been pretty good on offense, especially with Cousins in there. He's looked pretty phenomenal. So, and, he just lost a shootout with the Eagles. So we'll see how that turns out. I think this is a game the Giants should win. And I think it would help to turn their season in a much, much better direction. And we were talking about it a little before the show, is that the Giants' schedule gets pretty easy towards the second half.
It does.
Very, very easy. After the November 23rd game against the Cowboys,
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. The Giants never play in Thanksgiving. Ever.
I remember they played... In 2009, they played the last game against the Broncos, and they got shellacked.
Yeah, so it's going to be after the Redskins, the Giants play the Falcons, which is that's an iffy game. I think the Falcons could probably take that one. The Eagles, the Cowboys, the Colts, the Seahawks, the 49ers. Very tough 3 games there. Potentially 3 losses, and put the Giants in somewhat of a tailspin. But after that game, on Thanksgiving, we play the Cowboys. And then it's Jacksonville, Tennessee, Washington again, St. Louis, and the Eagles again. So, those are all teams that I imagine are going to be under 500 and beatable for the Giants. So, let's not say the season's over quite yet at 1-2. So,
right?
We'll see what happens.
It's only week 3. Some other teams, though, that were surprising. Aaron Rodgers made some news about this. The Packers are 1-2. And today in a radio interview, Aaron Rodgers says, I have one word for Packer Nation, 5 letters, RELAX. Relax. And he says, I thought that was funny way to put it. The Bears are playing the Packers on Sunday at Soldier Field. So that's definitely a big game for the Packers, especially going on 1-2. The Bears are 2-1. That's definitely a statement game. If Aaron Rodgers wants his fans to relax, he needs to repeat his heroics he had in last week of the season against the Bears last year. Remember that game?
Yes, I do.
And speaking of other games, when we come back, we'll have our usual lightning round of games, as well as preview the Giants-Redskins game and who has the upper hand in that one. We'll do all that and more when we come back on 107.7 The Bronc, 107.7thebronc.com. Yahoo! We are back on 107.7 The Bronc, 107.7thebronc.com, live from the Colonials Public House studios. And before we go into our lightning round of football and give you who we think is going to win Week 4, we got to talk about something else happening in the wide world of sports and entertainment.
And what is that?
It was John Rocker. He is on CB. I'm so surprised. We just came from watching that over there at 8 o'clock, and John Rocker, former Atlanta Braves pitcher, had some nasty comments I'm not allowed to appear on the radio about New York Mets fans in the 7 line. Not the clothing company, the actual subway. And he's kind of bounced around a lot in his years since that day where he basically bashed New York. and he was met with a lot of backlash from that brief history on him. He was a really good pitcher in the late 90s for the Braves, had about 35 saves, actually never gave up an earned run in the playoffs. And he's pitched, I think, like 12 innings, never gave an earned run in his entire postseason career. So a fun fact about John Rocker, no one knows that because of what he said. You don't know what he said, look it up. But it was pretty graphic, pretty nasty stuff. And so it's kind of bounced around a lot since then. Eventually his career plummeted. He went to the Indians, he went to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and then eventually disappeared into
nothingness.
Yeah. Occasionally he popped his head up. He was at the Long Island Ducks for a little while. And then more recently, he was at the Hall of Fame, and he had his little raffle going. And I believe it was, 3 tickets for $1, 10 tickets for $5, and the grand prize winner will get to go out we'll get to go out with John Rocker for a night of drinks and stories, probably. So that's got to be interesting.
But now it's all shifted. Now he's not quite in baseball anymore, but he's on Survivor, which I think is going to be a very interesting season. We'll see how long he lasts, but it's only a matter of time, I think, unless he's completely changed until he makes someone very angry. Well, maybe not just one person, but his whole tribe.
It seems like not a lot of people in his tribe really know about him. I mean, one girl was saying how their group is really young, and then you have the 40-something-year-old guy over there referring to John Rocker, and I mean, you were like, do you know who this man is? Like,
not one to be messed with.
Google his name. Just Google his name.
We'll see how long he survives.
Have you read the article I sent you?
No.
Ah, man, you got to read that. It is the aftermath of the article that was written about him that caused so much fanfare. And Jeff Perlin, who also wrote The Bad Guys, one other great book. If you're a big Mets fan, you can definitely must read. But it shows the aftermath of what happened to him, and the author actually was more backlash than John Rocker, one could argue, because a lot of players stood by John Rocker, and they didn't see him in that light until eventually John Rocker gets a little obnoxious at times. So maybe he's changed. I mean, it's only the first episode. He seemed pretty all right to me. He seems to be...
Well, we didn't get to see the end. Anything could happen.
Never know. He
might not even be on the show anymore. Because we have our show. So, I mean, nothing's more important than our show. So.
No, absolutely not. Everyone turned off CBS and turned on 107.7 The Bronx to listen to our show.
Well, we only got 5 minutes left, so let's get to the NFL.
Let's get some NFL action here.
All right.
We'll be giving you updates on John Rocker every week on our show.
As much as we can.
As much as we can. If you know the ending, please call in.
Let us know if John Rocker's still on the show, because that's the only reason we're watching.
Yeah, really. Once John Rocker's voted off, I doubt I'm going to care. Unless I really get emotionally involved with any of the characters, which so far, nope.
All right, so week 4 action.
All right, Giants at Redskins tomorrow night. Short week for the Giants. Who is winning this game at FedEx Field?
Giants.
All right.
Complete 100% Giants bias, but I'm picking the Giants.
I like it.
I think coming off a win, they're gonna like the taste of victory.
Exactly.
And they're gonna continue to taste victory against the Redskins tomorrow night.
I think they definitely have some confidence. Once again, 100% Giant bias on this end too. I got the Giants winning this game, and would it ever be a huge win for the Giants to win this game and get yourself 10 days off to think about you just won a game in D.C. and you're 2-2? The last time the Giants were at 500 was, I believe, 2 years ago when they finished at 9-7. So, clap, clap, clap. All right, Bears-Packers from Soldier Field.
This is always a great game. Packers probably unexpectedly 1-2. They're usually a team you're like, oh, they're going to be undefeated for 6 weeks. They're not quite the same team that we know a couple years ago. And then the Bears are 2-1. I don't know. This is a really, really, really tough game for me to pick. But I'm gonna pick the Bears for this one.
All right, I got to pick. This is tough.
I'm going honestly for the home field advantage here for the Bears.
This is the toughest 1 o'clock game to pick. I'm looking up and down right now. I have got to go with the Packers only because of the comments Aaron Rodgers made. I think Aaron Rodgers, when he is focused and dialed in, he has a way to the great ones do. Brady, Peyton. I think Aaron Rodgers can definitely has cemented himself with those names, or he will eventually. And I think he will lead the Packers to a very big win over the Bears. If he doesn't, there's going to be some serious problems up in Green Bay.
All right, what's next?
Titans-Colts.
Titans, Colts. Definitely going to have to go Colts on that one. They're just too strong of a team, I think, and the Titans just aren't. They're not quite there yet. They're not all there.
The Colts have to get some momentum going. I like the Colts to win this game. They got to go 2-2, and they have to catch up with some teams in the AFC South. Lions at Jets.
Well, this could be an interesting game. I could see it honestly going both ways. But, the Jets didn't have quite a great showing against the Bears on Monday Night Football this week. And the Lions only scored, 7 points or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go with Lions over Jets.
I have to agree with you there. I think Stafford and Calvin Johnson are just going to be too much for that Jets defense to overcome. Dolphins at Raiders. And this is not in Oakland. It's at Wembley Stadium. It's the NFL International game.
Woo.
The first of many. I think it's week 8 or 9. There's going to be a 9 a.m. game to give fans a taste of afternoon football. So over here, it's 9 a.m. I know for a fact, I don't know the teams they're playing. I think it's the Falcons against somebody else. I know for a fact it's no one from the West Coast. There'll be no 6 a.m. game for those fans.
I'm going to definitely go with the Dolphins here. The Raiders have looked like probably one of the worst teams in the NFL so far this season, and I don't expect them to do very well against the Dolphins, who have been, they are 1-2, but I think they're a strong squad.
Absolutely. Panthers at Ravens.
This is also a tough one for me. The Ravens so far have been very good. The Panthers are 2-1, but I don't know. I'm going to have to go with the Ravens in this one.
I think I go with... I'll go with Panthers only because the Ravens have had a couple of close calls lately. So Panthers, I think Cam Newton's going to lead this team to victory. Bucks at Steelers.
The Buccaneers have looked horrible so far. They gave up 50 points or something to Matt Ryan and the Falcons last week. And I think Roethlisberger is going to, get more of the same terrible secondary from the Bucks. So I'm going to go Steelers here.
Bills at Texans. I got the Texans. No, wait a minute. Bills at Texans. That's a tough one. Suddenly.
Actually, I honestly think it's Bills. We saw with the Giants rushing